and welcome to the Daily Ward. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Jeffrey Kearns, a special stem cell researcher from Johns Hopkins. We'll be discussing stem cell research. Please welcome Dr. Kearns.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor to have you here. I have a couple of questions for you to answer. Now, for just the general public, what are stem cells?
Stem cells are undifferentiated cells that have the power to become a variety of cells. Brain cells, heart cells, stomach cells, anything.
Alright. Now that that's established, how many kinds of different stem cells are there?
4. Tissue stem cells, also known as adult stem cells. They are derived from fetal or adult tissue. Usually they can only give rise to the cells of that tissue. For example, a skin stem cell only forms skin cells. In some tissues, these cells sustain turnover and repair throughout life. They're basically immortal. For example, stem cells that are found in the skin will produce new skin cells, ensuring that old or damaged skin cells are replenished, all while remaining young. Cells derived from a small group of cells, called the inner cell mass within the very early embryo, are called embryonic stem cells. Human embryonic stem cells are obtained from embryos that are 5 to 6 days old. At the stage that the embryonic stem cells are harvested, the embryo is called a blastocyst and is no bigger than a grain of sand.
Well, I'm going to cut you off right there. So you're just saying we could go down to a beach, pick up sand, and then we could use that for our own stem cells?
No. If you picked 1 grain of sand, that's how big a blastocyst is. If you had all the blastocysts in the world, it would be about the size of Miami Beach. Because we have more embryos than we have actual living people.
So again, we could just go to the beach.
Possibly, yes. Just go to the beach, get some sand, get some stem cells. We'll solve it, but it's not that easy.
It's not that simple. How is it not that simple or easy?
Because embryonic stem cells, when you harvest them, it causes the death of blastocysts. Now, pro-life, Christians, Jewish, Muslims, they take offense at this. They believe that it is inherently evil to take the life of anything, especially a human, and they consider life to begin at conception. But the controversy is that embryonic stem cells are pluripotent. They can form all the different kinds of cells in the body, including germ cells. 1 stem cell could form a brain cell, a heart cell, a stomach cell, a skin cell, any kind of cell in the body.
Alright.
And also, a third type of stem cell, similar to embryonic stem cells, has been researched. Scientists have engineered cells genetically to become induced pluripotent stem cells. The expression of several genes is reprogrammed back to a pluripotent embryonic stem cell base. Genetic synthesis is also another aspect of stem cell research. These cells are developed by chemically causing human oocytes, female egg cells, to divide, forming a blastocyst. Scientists believe that these cells have solved the stem cell debate, since the oocyte is unfertilized and therefore not technically a human. However, the stimulation of an oocyte can theoretically form a complete human being. The technical term for this is apoxymesis.
And for the general, can you go into more detail as what apoxymesis is?
Apoxymesis is when a reproductive cell, for example in a plant, when it divides, basically cloning itself. For example, if you cut a root off a plant and you stick it in water, the root will hopefully regenerate. This is an example of apoxymesis. And also certain insects that reproduce asexually, also apoxymesis.
So, culture bursts.
Yes, you can put it that way.
Alright. Now, we have what they are and where you could get them from. When were they discovered?
Well, German scientists theorized the existence of stem cells in 1860. They theorized it would be all-powerful, God-given cells. Turns out they were partially right. In the 1950s, researchers discovered that human bone marrow contained hematopoietic blood cell-forming stem cells and stromal stem cells. They thought these stem cells could be implanted in cells and continue producing blood, so if you get shot, you would never bleed out. But this wasn't true. So continuing research found embryonic stem cells from mice embryos in 1981. This research led to the ability to extract stem cells from human embryos in 1998. In the 1990s, scientists also discovered that the human brain contains stem cells that could form astrocytes, oligodendrites, and neurons. Basically, any form of brain cell. One of these stem cells could make you stay smart forever. It could eliminate Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, dementia.
And that also means we're the same as rodents.
True. You could put it that way.
Alright. Now, from where are adult stem cells most common?
They're most commonly derived from bone marrow, blood, and skin. The reason for this is that it's very easy to access using common surgical techniques. And also, these cells reproduce very quickly in the laboratory. Also very viable. They're not subject to radioactive and chemical toxins.
And just for a head, I'm not supposed to interrupt you here.
Oh, I see.
Alright, what is your response to the argument that stem cell research will lead to legalized murder?
That argument is an example of a slippery slope fallacy. Such an argument fails to realize alternatives. It only realizes the extremes, that either you kill everyone using stem cell research, or you stop stem cell research permanently to save human life. Not all stem cell research results in death, only embryonic stem cell research.
So just more advanced suicide bombing.
True, but it's not as bad as suicide bombing. Suicide bombing kills multiple people. This kills one person at a time in the guise of medical research. Some people have equivocated this with the German medical experiments during World War II on the Jews.
Alright, now, what are your own opinions on stem cell research? Should they be something that everybody should agree with, or not?
I believe that people should formulate their own opinions when they look at the research. But personally, I believe that stem cell research should be allowed. It's a common misconception among the public that all stem cell research involves creating or destroying embryos. Actually, the majority of stem cell research is directed toward adult stem cells, iPS. In fact, most stem cells in the world are extracted from mice. Unless you're an animal activist, I don't believe that should be a problem with you. Also, parthenogenetic stem cells have been shown to have nearly the same potency of embryonic stem cells. The dilemma remains, though. Adult stem cells are ethically sound, but scientifically inefficient. They can only form certain kinds of stem cells and are also more prone to genetic disorders and radioactive and chemical toxins. Induced pluripotent stem cells are also ethically sound, but are also inefficient at present technology. For induced pluripotent stem cells, you have to genetically fix it, which can result in a cell that creates an uncontrollable tumor. And at present, we cannot control the growth. Embryonic stem cells are the most efficient of the stem cells, but are ethically controversial. Parthenogenetic stem cells seem to hold the answer, but under scrutiny are no different than embryonic stem cells. Parthenogenetic stem cells are extracted from a human blastocyst that is formed differently than an embryonic stem cell. It is formed from an ovary cell that splits. That's it.
Alright. Well, thank you for this interesting and very boring topic. Alright, now, for all you who have suffered through this, it has been a pleasure having you on the show, Dr. Kearns.
Thank you for having me.
Alright. Okay.